to episode 20 of the BattleVault, a no dice, no glory podcast dedicated to the world of Battlefront's 15mm tactical gaming. These games include Flames of War, World War III Team Yankee, Great War, NAM, and Fate of the Nation. Today is the 10th of August, 2021. I'm Ed, and I'm joined by my buddy Tom. Well, Tom, what are we talking about this time?
Well, it's been a while since we've recorded. We're slightly behind schedule. We didn't actually get one out in July, so we have a lot of events to cover, and we'll hit those and mention in dispatches. We'll talk about the recent Flames of War Team Yankee events, and I actually got the Canadian events on there too. I saw that because some folks were asking about the Canadian events, so I put them on there. Then we have our best segment of the show, the Heroes of the Hobby, and this time we have John Mathews from Battlefront Miniatures joining us. And he's going to expand upon what's going on with the production shutdown in Malaysia and what that means to the gamer core, if you will. And bottom line up front, or spoiler alert, however you want to look at it, the sky is not falling. But he'll say it more eloquently than that as we get to it. Then we're going to go into rules Ed forgot or Tom butchered, and we've played a lot of tournaments lately, so we've got some pretty good items in there to discuss. And finally, we'll come back up to upcoming events for the U.S. Flames of War and Team Yankee events, and there's a bunch of those. I think some 20 of them that we're tracking right now between now and the end of the year. So, Ed, why don't we start off with what you've been up to lately?
Well, I wish I could say I've been up to a lot, but other than going to a few tournaments here and there, as far as painting goes, I'm just painting a few items. I went to a tournament down in Greenville and had some old blisters, and I picked up two of my favorite half-tracks from my favorite German division.
What are those? So yeah, the 21st, of course.
Of course I did.
Yeah, Ed is the top-rated 21st Panzer player in the U.S.
The only one who's playing it. I don't know.
So, of course,
they will win one day.
Yes, indeed. Well, there'll be a great
I had to purchase those. I had to get them.
You know, we do start doing some campaign games and historical scenarios. They're going to be great. We just need to get more time into those. We've just been so busy with just tournament play and not much else going on. I know you've been painting fins. Are you done with those?
No, I'm not. The ones I'm working on now, I'm done with the late war and I'm done with the mid-war stuff. But I've got several blisters that I've had forever for the early war. So right now I'm painting up some early war fins, winter, and so that's going to be the challenge, painting the winter stands and getting those done. But I've got the close defense unit and a couple of others, the mortars, the winter mortars and things, winter machine guns. I just need to get those going. So I've got them primed, and that's about as far as those have gotten.
After the tournament game we played, the last tournament game you and I played against each other, I don't want to see any more of your fins.
I know. They kind of manhandled you then.
Yeah, you kind of ran me rough on that one. That was a surprise. I thought my force would just tear you apart, but those guys were stout. They were a brick wall, not getting out the way.
You deserved it. You had bribed the guy to go against me. I'm convinced that.
Yeah, I still owe Chris. The tournament. Yeah, I still owe Chris Fred's money.
Yeah, you said you were going to fight me this week. And I go, you're usually in the winner bracket. I'm in the loser bracket. How's that going to happen? And that's why it never seems to happen. However, this time, we ended up, sure enough, meeting there. So I don't know if you paid him off or not, but I'm convinced that you did.
I just had to lose a game to be able to draw you. And then you proceeded to kick my butt and make me regret it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a nice win for me.
Well, I haven't really been painting anything. I mean, man, this has been just a slow year for hobby for me. And a big thing, my car restoration project has eaten up a lot of time, but it goes to the shop. I mean, I every night I go out and pull parts off of it. I'm still disassembling it, and but it goes to the body shop on the next Tuesday, which would be the 17th. It will be once it's out of the house. I will have, or out of the garage, I should say. Once it's gone, and I've done all I can do of parts, then I'll have a little more time to get back into it. And I've been looking at some things that I want to put together, some other things that I've been collecting and been wanting to get to. So hopefully I'll have some hobby to report in the future. Well, let's go into the events. I'll cover the first one, Ed, and we have a lot, folks. So we're going to kind of expedite these. I think we got over a dozen of them. And the first one I want to cover was the P-Town Beat Town. I love that title. That was played on the 26th of June in Portsmouth, Virginia. And was that the Battle Rangers, the 757th Rangers or something, the name of the group out there. And they had 10 players, with the top 3 coming in third place, James Best Jr. playing Soviets, probably Churchill since it was a late war event. No, it was a mid-war event. Still might have had Churchills. James Copeland came in second with Germans, and then Ed Sales was the top of Germans. So glad to see they got an event in down there. And that we had 3 events on the 26th of June. So why don't you hit the next one there, Ed?
Okay, I'm scrolling down right now. All right, so this one is a mid-war 100-point event, 3-round in Indianapolis. Is this the one that I missed out on?
Yeah, this was the one that you had your car accident on the way to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the Masters side
I
tournament.
got within 20 minutes of my target location and got rammed at 70 miles an hour in the rear of my vehicle. So that was painful.
Luckily you weren't hurt, but your Army got messed up, didn't it?
Yeah, I had about 8 stands that were repairable, but needed some extensive work. But in this tournament, the one you were in, you didn't place in the top 3. Matter of fact, I don't even see you on the list here.
Well, that's because this is not the Masters, Ed. This was the Flames of War side tournament that was going along adjacent to the Team Yankee Masters.
That's right. Okay, because I was going to be at this one because I wasn't in the Masters. Okay, so very good. So in this one, Brian Notches was in first place. What's it?
Coaches.
Why do I mess that up every time I see it?
There's not even an N in his last name.
There's not an N in there. That's my dyslexic self coming out there. I kind of make up stuff and throw them in there. Letters, numbers, things like that. But Brian came in first with Germans. And how many people do we have at this one? It looks like a 10-person event. And so he came in first, and we had Jacob Mayer. He was playing Soviet with second place. And then Michael Cran. Yeah, I believe that's correct. Playing Italians. It's good to see Italians in there. As a matter of fact, there were several Italians in this event that did very well. And so very good. Very happy to see that.
Well, while that was going on, a couple of tables over, we had the Masters. And that had 16 players. Of which the top 3 were John Mayer playing Israelis. Israelis and U.S. together, I believe. No, Israelis and West Germans. Then at number 3. Number 2 was me playing my BMP horde, so Soviets. And then number 1 was John Cederberg playing his BTR-60 horde, Soviets. So that's how the top 3 list came out. I know that John, like I said, he runs a BTR-60 list with two mid-size units and 1 small-size unit of BTR troops. I guess they'd be motorized rifle companies. And then he had the T-80s, and it was multiple point levels for different rounds. But I played him in the 3rd round, and we had a draw, a 3-3 draw. And I think, and then I had a later draw in the tournament, another 3-3. So that's how I ended up going second. But it was good fun. I didn't expect to be that high. I'm glad nobody told me I was doing that well, because I probably would have blown it at the end. I was just kind of like, so that was a good fun.
And I'm looking at the list and what all was brought, and I only see 1 West German group there. And I figured with the new book out and things like that, I would have seen more in here, but that is not the case. But they did place in 7th. That was Patrick Rice.
Souped up leopards too much. There were a lot of West Germans that you don't see there because a lot of folks had West German allies. Like John Mayer had West German as allies for his Israelis. One of the there was at least one other player that had West German. Chris Jackson had West Germans in one of his lists. He had a little West German contingent that was, I think, at the higher point levels. So you saw them sprinkled in as allies here and there, but nobody ran them as a full-up list except for the one you just mentioned, which is Patrick Rice.
Okay.
So yeah, and I didn't see him. So you get the next one there. I love the name of this one.
Scrolling down. All right. Reforger is the name of the. I like that one a lot. Let's see. This was on the 27th, so that was what, a Sunday? A Sunday event. It's a small event, only 8 players though. But we had in third place we had Lance Mathews playing Canadians. In second place, Jace Pippin playing West Germans. Yay! And at the top position we had Ryan Johnson playing Russians. Okay, and this was located in Lunston, Saskatchewan. Yeah. And so we got the Canadian reports in here. I'm glad to see those in there, and I'm glad they're able to get these things together. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Very good.
After that, we had one that was in Minneapolis. The name got cut off here at the top. 100-point mid-war event that was on July 3rd, so the 4th of July weekend. And 14 players, with the top players being Keith Gilmore playing Germans. We'll hear about him later on. Then above him, the second place, Ian Gall, Tom Gall's son, with Soviets. Yeah. And Michael Cran, that name shows up again, coming in at first place with Italians. So within 2 weekends in a row, he wins 2 events with Italians. He came in first on the. Yeah, but he was in the top 3 in both of them. So a pretty good event there. And I guess you get the next one, the Man the Guns. Did you run this? Yeah, you ran this.
This is the one I ran here at Elizabethtown on the 10th of July. And so there was a shocking result on this one. We actually had 11 players, but one had to drop out. We had one sit in for a minute, and then another one didn't feel well and ended up leaving. So all in all, we had 10 people in this.
10 finishers.
This is the one. Yeah, 10 finishers with all 3 rounds. So, yes, in third position, Chad Underdunk came in. Matter of fact, he played the first 2 games, and Don Blevins, who we hadn't seen play in a long time, came out of retirement and won his last game for him with an 8-1 victory to get him to rank in third position. So he was playing Soviets there, and this was a mid-war game. And so Don was able to help him out there. He had to go home for an emergency reason. So there you go. Joe Lewis got second position playing as Americans. And look at that. In top position, we had Tom Burgess. And Tom, you were playing Germans. I can't remember what force you were playing, though.
Well, I did not bring Germans. I was going to be playing something else. I thought British. I was going to be playing my Crusaders. And
that's right. Yeah.
I kept asking you. I said, "Are you sure going to be playing British? Are you sure? Are sure going to be Allied? Sure going to be Allied?" You're like, "Yeah, you're Allied. You're Allied." So I only showed up with my Allied force. But then because of some of the drops, we actually needed someone to play another Axis player. And since Joe had brought 2 lists, and since he definitely wanted to play as Americans, I asked if I could borrow his alternate list, which was German armored cars with an elephant and some martyrs and mech infantry, Panzer grenadiers with half tracks and some Vesp, artillery. So decent little force, and they went undefeated, I think, across the board, and got the chance to. And poor Joe, who loaned me the force. I'd never played this force before. You had me up against him in the first round, and I beat him 7-2. So I don't think he was too happy. he got that stomp on my
army.
Yeah. So it was fun. No, he was a good sport about it. And thanks, Joe, for letting me borrow your force. I will be working on armored cars in the future.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. I was fortunate. I forgot about that, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. You got the next one.
Oh, okay, right. This is a small one in Thunder Bay, Ontario on the 21st of June. Call it the backyard tournament, so I wonder if this was actually in somebody's backyard. They only had 5 players. Right, backyard tournament, I don't know, could have been outdoors. Canada's not so hot, right? It can be a little cooler in the summer. So, any case, They had Zach Watson playing Canadians. This was a Team Yankee event, by the way. And Austin Cudmore playing UK. And Jay Geeky, that's a fun name, playing Sylvia.
That's it, sure enough. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, Geeky. Spelled just like it sounds, except for IE instead of Y. But and only 5 players. I thought that to go into rankings, it had to be 6 players as a minimum size for an event. But I wonder if Canada maybe has a little bit less restrictions because it's harder for, they're more dispersed population centers. It's harder for them to get travel to events. So I don't know, maybe there's special disposition there. But whatever, glad to see they had an event and hope they all had fun with it.
Okay. Let's see, we got so many of these tournaments. I'm really glad to see that this is the case, and I think it's a good idea that we're doing a lot of these because I fear that this COVID situation may be putting us back into lockdown again, the way things are going. Yeah. So let's keep on getting these as much done as we can. All right, well, this next one we got Mid-War March tournament located in, again, Lumsden, Saskatchewan. And so this was another Mid-War 3-round event. We have, let's see, we have 8 players here. And so the names look familiar. I guess it's the same group. So, but this time in 3rd position, we had Lawrence Seven-Jornsen.
must be fluent from Sweden.
Yeah, you go. Fluent from Sweden playing British. And so he came in 3rd position.
Sven Bjornsson. Sven Bjornsson.
Yeah, there you go. I'll go with your
Lauren is first name. Very cool.
Bjornsson.
Yep, very cool.
Yeah. All right. In 2nd position, we had Lance Mathews playing Italian. Go Italians. And then finally, Jace Pippin again in top position with playing Americans. Mid-War Americans. Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's good. I got my Mid-War Americans. I haven't played them yet, though.
All right. We'll continue to roll through July. I mean, there was stuff going on all the time. Small event in Leesburg, Virginia. Only 6 players. They did they cannot be right. It's just 315 points, 3 rounds.
No, they were playing oh no. 315 points.
That's got to be a typo. Or maybe it was
maybe it's not. Maybe it's just one big game.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a big mega battle, and somehow they figured out how each of them did within the mega battle. I do not know. So it would be interesting to hear about that. But anyways, they had 6 players. William White, we know him. He came in 3rd playing Soviets. Probably the same force he used at Masters, which was a T-80 BMP-3 force. Number 2, Nick Reed playing U.S. No, I don't know Nick that well. And then Patrick Rice, who we saw playing West Germans at Masters, came in 1st place a couple weeks later in Leesburg. So good they got an event in, but not too well attended. I've usually seen bigger events for them out there. The next one, you get to cover.
But we had our buddy John Holland and Howard West were both there at that short event. So, yeah, maybe we can give them a call and find out what that 315 is all about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe they can
Let's go to the next one here. It looks like this is the Greenville event that I was at. Okay, this is at Borderland, a great store, by the way, there in Greenville, South Carolina. And
you get an accident. No accident on the way to it.
I know. I actually made it there.
Very important.
Yeah, I took a rental car just in case.
Yeah, it was a big event.
Oh, it was huge, and they put on a good show there and good turnout. Yeah, we had 18 players. I wish I could say I was in the top quarter there, but I was not. But I did place 9th playing my fins. But this was the late war. Yeah, top half is good. That's
barely.
Yeah, barely at number 9. Yeah, but there were 3 Finnish players there, and I was the bottom of the Finnish players, and so that's a good sign. Finnish players were in the top half, and I was holding the bottom position of that half. But anyway, good game, good store. If you ever get a chance to go there, they got a great selection of older blisters out there. I told you about 2 of the ones I bought. but I think I picked up about like 6 or 7 blisters while I was there. I went crazy. Anyway, good round. So in third position we had Robert Baumkamp. He was playing his Americans, and he came in third position. Scott Atchison, okay, for our buddy there in Alabama, came in second position playing Brits. And then we had Preston Jacob playing Soviets, who topped us off there. So
what kind of list was Preston playing? Do you remember?
I did not play him. He played on the table next to me.
Was he infantry base?
Oh, I can't remember. I
thought
he had T-34. He had T-34s for sure, but I don't remember. I couldn't tell you for sure. You know my memory sucks. Anyway.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'd like to see it, especially if he did well with the T-34 force, because that's what I've been trying to do and not succeeding, as we'll come on to here.
That's the force I like playing with the Russians.
Right about now. So the next weekend, July 24th, in Indianapolis, they had a 3-round 100-point late war event that you and I both went to, and we did not get an accident on the way up there. That was awesome. And, I'm going to start with 6th place on this one. There's only 12 players, but we actually had 3 of us tied for 5th place, and ended up being myself, you, and Scott Ernie. And but they ranked us, me 5th, you 6th, and Scott 7th. So I guess I must have strength of schedule or something, because it sure wasn't because I was better looking. Anyway, so but that was one where I was convinced. Like I was sure my force would just destroy you. I had all the tools. Like I was going to hit you with templates. All that infantry couldn't come out of the open, pin you down, run you over with T-34s, and man, you just shrugged off T-34 after T-34 assault, and then you had that crazy Pac 40 with a superhero guy. I could not kill either of those 2 guns. I only had to kill one of them to make them start checking morale, and that one guy kept re-rolling his misses. And man, you were you were nickel and diming my T-34 platoons to death. And next thing you know, I had like 3 tanks on the board. Not good for a tank player when the infantry, the Finnish infantry, is still pretty well dug in all around the objectives. So you were able to do quite a number on me in that tournament. But in any case, the guys who did well were William Brown, Dr. William Brown. I think he has his PhD now. I think I just recently saw that. Playing Hungarians, he ran a Zareni horde. I know because he beat me in the 2nd round. Close game. I almost had it, but he was able to pull it off. And then Chris Fretz, no huge surprise there at number 2, playing Americans, and he had I believe armored rifles with the free French folks and some other stuff. And then Joe Lewis came in first playing British, and he was playing the what I'm starting to note as a very stereotypical British force. British rifles, usually the Desert Rat guys with a lower morale, and then they get reinforced by crocodiles and M10 Achilles, sometimes even 2 units of those and some tanks in there too. They seem like a pretty good force, but there was 3 forces on that tournament. The 3 British players. Who else do we have in there? It was British. Scott Arney and who else? I thought there was one more that we saw.
Scott had 2 crocodiles in his forces. I played him.
Yeah, they looked basically the same to me. Anyway, so good on them. Well done, William and Chris and Joe. And Ed, you get the next one, which is getting us into July.
Okay, and this is the 24th of July also. It's a late war 105 located at Northwick, Virginia. 105 points, 3 rounds. And this is the normal locals that looks like there that normally play in these tournaments. But I don't see the best in the top position. It's usually at least one of the best are going to be in the top position, but not this time. We had Ed Sales in the 3rd position playing Germans. Chris Jackson traveling from North Carolina playing as Soviets. Good job there. He came in 2nd position. And James Copeland playing Romanians in the top positions there. So there you go. There's a first tournament I've seen Romanians placing. So good job there.
Yeah, and we can't even get the cards for them yet. They're in the book, so I guess you can play them. You can get the
Right.
Bagration Access Allies book, but you can't get the cards for the Romanians yet. So, but he had an existing Romanian force, so I guess he was able to just make his own cards or something so he could get through the event, or just put the stats down on paper. So well done for you guys. Next one we have is Midsummer Mid-War in Felton, Delaware. Now this I'm digging. Pete Zerfy put this together, and he's been running these a couple times. They had 10 players. It's only 60 points, 3 rounds, so it's kind of a small event. And at third place, they had Pat Dare playing Germans. Second place, Kurt Reese with Italians, and coming at the top was Pete Zerfy with Hungarians. And there's one thing about this tournament I want to talk about. Pete has been doing this thing where he, if you choose defend as a stance, and you are allowed to have the dice for which mission you play or be re-rolled. So that's pretty cool. So because you think the defender would have some sort of inherent advantage, but what it does is because people always just want to attack, or it becomes a very popular thing. So he's giving an extra incentive for you to choose defend. And when you do, if you don't like the mission that you rolled up as the defender, you can elect to roll again, and then I guess you're stuck with whatever you come up with. So I thought that was a neat concept. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Maybe something we could experiment with, but I kind of like that idea. And then now we finally get into August. Back up to Canada in August. There, Ed.
Okay, I got that one. It's coming up here as I scroll down. Okay, so we're back in Lumsden, Saskatchewan again. This is, what was the date? 1 August. That was last weekend.
Yep. Right.
And so that's good. We had a tournament of 8 there, and it is a 105 late war.
Team Yankee.
No, it's Team Yankee. It's Team Yankee, yeah. Okay, so in this one we had in third place Lance Mathews playing Canadians. Jace Pippin this time in second position playing West Germans. Good for him. And then finally Ryan Johnson in first position playing Russians. All right, go West Germans. Yeah, that's good.
Yep, get on them. And then we move on back up, not as far north, Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Dreamers Vault. They did a late war event. This will be the last event we cover. And they had a good showing, 14. My buddy Chris Grau was there, but not towards the top. Sorry, Chris. And then third place was John Skahen, Skahen, playing Brits. Then second place, Michael Cran. So we've mentioned him in the top 3 now 3 times during this podcast. And then Keith Gilmore came in first place with 83 points. And we didn't go a lot into forces during this coverage, but one of the ones I did ask for was Keith's. Now, this was a unique event because they had to use all 3 stances. So you had to choose attack once, choose maneuver once, choose defend once, and for the 3 rounds. So Keith ran the 116th Panzer Grenadiers, but he dropped the pack front and went with some more mobile options. I think he added the Elephant, Ferdinand, and then I guess it'd be an Elephant for late war. And no, it's a Ferdinand. And then some other stuff. So he had Armored Panzer Grenadiers using the 116th card, the Greyhound card, to bring down their cost. With the headquarters, of course, 2 submachine guns at half track, Armored Panzer Grenadier platoon with tracks, full one, an Armored Panzer Grenadier without tracks, full up. Both have the additional 3 Panzerschreck unit teams. So this is a pretty awesome amount of firepower for anti-tank. Scout troop, 222, 221 scout troop. The Ferdinand, Vesp, the OP, Panzer II OP, not a Panzer III OP, and then a pair of Tigers. And so good little force. And he managed to hold on in that event. I don't know what the point values was, but it obviously came out at the top. So well done there, Keith. And he had a chance to play. Yeah.
105.
Yeah, and he didn't have much of a chance to play lately because he'd been moving into a new home. He built a new home, and of course, had to close on it, and then had to move into. In fact, he couldn't play Masters. He was qualified to be in the Team Yankee Masters, but couldn't go because that was the closing date of his house. So, anyways, glad to see he was able to get back in the swing of things pretty quickly. And then
hang on a second.
Go ahead.
Let me take it back real good. That was 100 points, by the way, not 105 points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then just this past weekend, just a couple days ago, up in Newark, John Mayer ran 2 events back to back. And on Saturday, they did a Team Yankee event for 100 points. They had 9 players, and Chris Fretz won that with his Dutch mech and tank combination. And then on the Sunday, they played mid-war, but I guess Sunday wasn't as popular. They only had 4 players there. So well done, John, for putting together an event, and well done to Chris for winning the Saturday Team Yankee. I'm not exactly sure what happened on the Sunday 4-player event, but I don't think it really mattered. I think it was just 4 guys throwing dice and having fun. They may have only played 2 rounds. I mean, you almost get actually if you play 3 rounds, you will play everybody else at that same event, right? With 4 players, you go 3 full rounds. So, anyways, but I know Charlie Clay and Chris Fretz were 2 of those 4 players, so I'm sure it was a great event. So, I'm sure they had a good time with it. Well, it's good. That's it for all the recent events. And again, we're a little bit behind, so we had about 6 weeks worth of stuff to cover there. So before we take a break, any comments about what you're seeing overall trends there, Ed?
Well, you mentioned one of them with the British force there at the Flames of War, seeing that Crocodile and Achilles combination, and so that seems to be pretty consistent there. Yeah, but the other thing I noticed is that people are getting away from the pack front, not going with the pack front as often. Like this one tournament that we had just had, nobody had a pack front, which was unusual.
Yep. Well, people learning how to deal with them. Smoke, maneuver, firepower, suppression, all the classic combinations. They're great. They can be useful. They're really just an annoyance factor. And once you learn how to not let them get into your mind and slow down your game, then they really don't have as much weight as they have been having. So no, it's good, and it's good to see a high number of events. I think you nailed it, though, Ed. Let's hope this Delta variant thing doesn't move. We're already hearing a lot of all sorts of stuff in the news about remasking and forced vaccinations and et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that doesn't impact the scene, because we're just getting Gen Con's just around the corner. We've got Sensicon, Advance the Colors, and so on coming up. So let's hope that we're able.
We got NashCon here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to actually go to that. Yeah.
Oh, are you registered already?
Yeah, I got it. I got in for both Friday and Saturday. So.
I need to see if I might try. We'll see how we work that out. Well, my dog is starting. If you're hearing any whimpering in the background, that's my dog. So I need to go let her out. So we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll hear from John Mathews from Battlefront, and it was a pretty good interview. I'm looking forward to hearing it again, and hope the folks enjoy it, and I hope that it kind of explains what's going on to the folks out there. And so we'll see you here in a few minutes.
When it comes to paint, tools, and hobby supplies, Hard Knocks Games offers quantity and quality. We carry hundreds of hard-to-find products from brands like Ammo of MiG, Mr. Hobby, and AK Interactive. Come shop our massive selection of games, model kits, and more at 5571 North Dixie Highway, or find us online at hardknocksgames.com.
Well, welcome back, everybody, from the break. I hope you had a quick chance to refresh. And now in our Heroes of the Hobby segment, we're very fortunate today to have with us John Mathews from Battlefront Miniatures. And John's going to give us a little bit more insight to what's going on with the production delays and so on and so forth. So, John, welcome. We're so glad you could join us.
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Hey, John. We got a lot of new listeners out there. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Battlefront?
Okay, I have a very fancy title. I am the Global General Manager, which I like to say means I manage generally. What I primarily, my focus is getting the product into the stores. So I handle all of sales in the English office and the American office. I coordinate with the factory in Kuala Lumpur to get it from A to B and then out. I do all the sort of mundane jobs of the paperwork and all that sort of thing, which I think is more for my ills rather than any hero status. And I am a sounding board with the studio for the sort of sales aspect. I am not the hobby guru. rules right or anything like that, and I never should be. Absolutely not. But I do enjoy playing war games myself. I hope that sums it up.
Yeah, and you're the best one to have on for this this situation, because what you just summated there or surmised pretty much ties in with. I mean, you're deep into all aspects of everything from Malaysia to the gamers' hands, and that's
absolutely
so. And that's why we want to bring you on for this interview, specifically to kind of explain. I know that Battlefront has published a few updates and the news releases and so on, but it just give you a chance to kind of expand upon that and explain the situation of what is going on, particularly in Malaysia, and how it's affecting Battlefront currently.
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to say that what we've been trying to do here is be transparent. Make sure that the communities know what is going on. However, there is, especially with COVID and everything like that, there is a little bit of a proneness to running around going, the sky is falling in. It's definitely not. It really isn't. We have been preparing, making sure that the sea shipments, everything. I mean, at the moment, we have, I would say 5 shipments on the water, but they get delayed and everything like that. Now, they're not all Flames of War. They're for some others of things we do, like the board games and stuff. But there is still product coming through. The only hiccup we have at the moment is new releases. And of course, they are tied in with, the books. So we don't make new releases a year out. We make the main stock a year out. So I might make Tiger tanks in one time in a year and have 12 months stock. So I have a great many of those in stock and have done for ages. But the Romanians is the first one where we bumped into that we can't actually get them out of KL. They've been made, but we can't, get them onto a ship to get to us.
Yeah. And of course, Romanians is what I'm looking for, but but I'll be patient.
See, that's the real reason why I'm on here. It's Tom's new releases.
Yeah, Tom needs Romanians. Where are they?
Yeah. And you're not the only one. I know several people elsewhere that definitely want those Romanians. Yeah.
Yeah. I think wargaming in general is a new release driven business. We like the new toys. We've all been doing this more years than we can remember. So actually, we've got Tigers, we've got T-34s. It is actually a little bit of the new stuff that comes out. I remember when the Puma came out. And it was suddenly, oh, hell, I've got to have them. I've got to have 20 Pumas. There's no reason for 20 Pumas, but you've got to have them. And this is where we differ from the new chaps, because they're out there buying their T-34s or their Romanian army. It doesn't mean that they have to play anything, what we would call more streamlined or mainline. But it is a critical part of our business, and definitely for the stores as well. It's that reason to go in and just see, is there anything new? Where we know about T-34s. I hope that's making sense.
It certainly does. It certainly does. So the newer players who are going to stick to the core, the big 5 armies and the kind of core stuff, there's plenty to still bring new people in, and there's plenty of stuff available for the last for a long time. It's just we're just a little bit hold on the newer items coming in. And trust me, I have a closet full of Battlefront product to paint. I'm in no rush to build. I mean, I do want to get the stuff, but typically it'll go sit on my shelf for about 6 months to a year before I get to it anyways. So it's easy for me to be patient. Yeah, indeed. Go ahead, Ed. You got the next one?
Yeah, and so with those existing stocks that you got out there and the ships on the way there, how long can we hold out on the situation in Malaysia there before you think it becomes an issue?
With mainline stock, there will always be exceptions. So, for example, today, I sold the last clock tower. It just happened to be one of those that it just went out, and you went, okay. But that, I guarantee you, is not the backbone of our hobby, is a clock tower. So that one will be out, but you know, we still have all the houses, we have the cafes, we have the manor house, the municipal building, the list goes on. The core tanks and that sort of thing is some will run out in the next 6 to 8 weeks, and that is really what we hope we're talking about here. This all comes down to the Malaysian government. I think, like many around the world, they were slow to react, and their populace has not taken COVID seriously. So we had to be very, very draconian in our approach to it, not because the numbers were huge, but we felt the numbers could become huge. Now, sadly, I think in Malaysia, not enough people took it seriously. And then when the Delta variant came in, which you've got to remember that an awful lot of migrant workers that work in Malaysia are Indian. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's easy for it to move. They were caught flat-footed. They were slow off the mark with vaccinations. And again, with a slightly less well-educated public, harder to convince, why do I need a needle when I don't know anybody who's had it? And for our factory, sadly, and it was a sad thing, is one of the ladies who paints the scenery, her husband died. Ooh. It was amazing how quickly our workforce got themselves vaccinated. And we are now running at about 92% vaccination of our staff. So, and I think the Malaysian government's target is 80%. So we are well on we're over that already. And we want it to be 100% in there. Just, you know, I'm a chap that believes in manners more than almost anything. And so, you know, people ask me here is, why do you still wear a mask, John? Are you scared? And it's like, no, I'm not really scared of much. But I feel for the shop staff who were told, you know, like Walmart has just said, all their shop staff have to wear masks again. So I think it is my duty to actually put them at ease. They don't know anything. So I've been vaccinated. I was, you know, got it there and went in. But I just think politeness dictates that I try to make somebody else feel comfortable, that sort of thing. And I think the Malaysians did a pretty lousy job of there. Now, they are playing catch up very quickly, but there is also an awful lot of politicalization going on at the moment in there. So there's calls for resignations of the Prime Minister. There's accusations of embezzlement, you know, all the sort of things that go around in countries that sometimes don't have the, trying to put it a bit tactfully here, education maybe that we have had for a longer time. Is you still get shaken down in Malaysia, especially if you are a foreigner. And I'm not meaning this as a racial term, is the cops see it as easy, but they will just as much pick on a lady who has got 3 kids and there's strangely a fine that she didn't have a week ago. It's just a bit of a shame like that. And I think that COVID has allowed some mismanagement to go on in there. And sadly, with the Delta variant, that's where we've got caught up in it. And they are now being very draconian, most probably correctly, to play catch up.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about the employee that you had who lost her husband, and
yes.
Glad to hear that it, you know, everybody's now getting vaccinated, and that's awesome. But it's tough because I probably own a lot of stuff that she painted.
Yeah, well indeed. Yep.
Yep. Got quite the collection of the Battlefield in the Box collection. So I think you've answered you answered my question, my next one, kind of already, because you already said the clock tower was out, and pretty much most other items other than the new things are still generally available. So I guess, Ed, we'll go to you, because I don't think there's any more into that one that I had.
Okay. In this next question, it's looking at our timeline. We had the original timeline of what our plan was to get this stuff out, and so we've already mentioned the Romanians and that being held up, and so we were expecting that in June. Of course, we had the little delays there. So the question is, how much are we seeing this possibly being bumped out even again? And so what are your expectations on how much you really think this is going to last, and what are the provisions when it goes longer than this? I mean, how much of an effect is this going to have?
At the moment, we have just reforecast, because again, we're a numbers business. We have just reforecast out about 8 weeks. 8 to 10 is where we feel that if they pulled the trigger and said, right, you're all back to work tomorrow, with the shipping delays, and that is the other bit, is I'm sure everybody knows about Suez Canal and all this sort of thing. One of the biggest things that actually for the last, year and a half has become critical is containers. So containers are being on the water longer. There are more of them being used because, of course, the airlines aren't carrying nearly as much cargo as they were. So where a container might turn around in 6 weeks, it's actually 8, 9, 9.5, whatever it happens to be. And that sort of has the domino effect of when you come to ship. We used to just literally be able to phone up our carriers and go, oh, I need a 20-footer, I need a 40-footer, I need an LCL, I need, and they would just be, yep, wherever you want to go. Now, we almost have to say to them, right, I need a container in 4 weeks. Make sure I've got one, and I want one 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks later. We will fill them up. But you have to get in line. And then we have noticed that there is a little bit of a strangeness of, well, we booked that container. And eventually, once you pressurize the people, is you got outbid. Somebody has offered twice what the container they were charging us. And of course, the shipping companies just go, well, I'll take that. Our highest quote for a container was just under 20,000 USD.
Wow.
You normally can get a container for 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes a little bit. So what we're doing is we're doing normally a shipment to America will be 6 weeks. That's load, ship, and deload. There is a better word for it there than it just escaped me. So a 6-week turnaround, and in going to the UK office, it was about 5.25, so slightly quicker. We're now adding about 3 weeks onto that to be safe. So we think that if they were to say tomorrow, right, we can go, we could get the Romanians into America in 9 weeks. If it has to be made, obviously, then we have to make it before. But actually, we're fairly efficient at making runs. The only time would be is when a run needs to be 2,000-3,000 items. That's going to take a little bit longer than, you know what, we need, I'm going to pick on Cossack cavalry. We need 24 blisters in each office. That literally is a woman working for 2 hours picking the metal. And she's done, we box it up and it's out, sort of thing. So I am anticipating that it's between 8 and 10 weeks, and we will start seeing the first new releases and restocks that aren't already on their way to us. If it goes longer, then really it's how long is a piece of string? Because if it was 1 week, makes no difference. If we suddenly got into, let's say it was still closed a year from now, I do hope that we would have made some other plans, which we could do. There are ways to change where you would produce stuff, for example. However, at the moment, we haven't got any plans like that. You know, I very much doubt they're going to allow me to put a casting machine in the back of my office, and then when I'm not talking to you gentlemen, I'm going to be pouring some lead quickly.
Yeah, and now will come out to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now, of course, I'm just thinking how untidy my office is over there. And the worst thing is there are 3 production molds over there when I do scenery for the tournament tables and stuff. I will quite happily cast walls at my table, you know, using 2-part epoxy resins, and you know, the guys have to put the fan in because I'm talking in a strange voice.
Well, I'll tell you what. I used to say, man, it'd be great to have like John Mathews' job and work at Battlefront, but it sounds like work to me, like hard work. I don't. I think you would leave me off of that.
We've always said this, and I know you know my history, is I worked for GW as well, and it was always that thing that you would get people going, oh, I'd love to work for Games Workshop, I'd love to work for Battlefront, I'd love to work for Privateer Press, and you go, would you? And they go, oh yeah, playing toy soldiers all the time, blah blah blah. And go, no, this is what I do. Paper bloody work. I do paperwork all the bloody time.
He's holding up files, everybody who can't see the screen.
Oh, sorry, yes. It's just, you know, it's disciplinaries. It's all the rubbish that you have to deal with going, no, I got into toy soldiers to get out of the rat race. I don't want to do this.
Well, it was really good. Well, one thing I'm thinking, looking as a target of opportunity, perhaps, if there is a delay in production, we know that the play testing, book development, card development, there's that side of the business as well. And if the production is delayed, does that open up opportunities now for to kind of use the gap in time to explore other areas, other game systems, or any other projects that Battlefront may be interested in?
Absolutely does. Yes, it does. And I mean, the New Zealand office sometimes is like herding cats, because as soon as they get a good idea, they want to run with it. And I don't blame them. That must be the exciting side of having that ability. I don't have it. I couldn't write a game if my life depended on it. But it is definitely one of those things, and you know that Pete drives that with Chris Townley, is they are always looking at this, and they are seeing it as in an opportunity to look at board game development. There are definitely other projects in Flames of War that we have been talking about for years, that suddenly you go, oh, we've got a bit of time. Let's really look at X, Y, and Z. Some of them will be bizarre that we will throw away. Others, you know, Phil, I know, has a like a skirmish planes game that he's had for years that we should do. And you look at that and you go, well, perhaps that's the time when let's polish that off and get it ready. I'm not saying anybody listening that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's purely hypothetical. You know what will happen is, oh, Battlefront's coming out with a plane game. No, I do not know that.
I recall long ago that there was some mention or some suggestions that you know, some areas like Japanese would be covered, like Japanese and Marines in mid-war or something would be covered just by a card release. So that was my hopes, like, hey, maybe stuff like this that hasn't gotten on the front burner might give a chance for some of those things to infiltrate in and maybe, you know, see the light of day. So there might be some positives from it. But Ed, you got the next one? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, John. No, please, John, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and I might be leaping ahead a little bit here, is you've seen a little bit of it with this new narrative campaign that's going on right now.
That's what I was
now,
going to ask about.
Honest, oh, I'm sorry. I have to be honest. I actually didn't know anything about it. It was a Studio One. It's where they've got excited. It's a great idea, but a lot of it is, well, we've got the time to relook at some stuff. So I can't really tell you much more than that, because I don't want to step on the studio's toes, and more importantly, I don't quite know what toes to tread on yet, so I can't give you much on there, other than there's more to come. because they are using the opportunity to relook at stuff and literally just generate some excitement, try to get it where you've got that excuse again to play a new game, a different game of your hobby. You know, you may not have thought of invading Norway. Well, now you have, because a lot of it is, I've always been a big believer that actually you war game because of your friends. And if you're like me and you're Billy No Mates, you need someone who you can pretend is your friend. In this case, the studio in New Zealand saying, go off and have a game.
Very good.
All right. Well, that answered my question on that Facebook posting on Operation Univarian. Yeah. And that make your home adventure kind of thing. I thought that's a great idea, and I'm glad to hear that you guys are possibly looking at these other kind of ideas in the game systems, keeping that theme and the idea of that World War II theme. Also I'm sure the Team Yankee still falls into that as well too. And so other ideas, and this is good. It's future development on possible great ideas that'll catch on as well.
Yep. Well, I hope so as well. I hope so. Now, I'm most probably going to step out of my box here just a little bit. JP and Pete might tell me off, but while we're talking, I still have my work email on. And I literally have just got an email from Jeff Brooks, who is our manager in the Kuala Lumpur facility. And he's just said that tomorrow, and I'll read it verbatim for you. Hi, gents. There is supposed to be an announcement tomorrow regarding the relaxation of restrictions for fully vaccinated people. The tone of the article seems to suggest it will be more social, personal, rather than work-related, but we will have to see. I think this is one of the things I was going to touch on, of course, just like our government here in America and in the UK. The financial help that is given by governments is only so much. And you can see that, I'm sure, the money men going, well, we can't just keep giving people money. We can't there. And Malaysia's government in this respect has been very generous, that they have, if they have shut you down, they definitely help with the expenses. So when we put in our claims and that sort of thing is, I'm sure their money men somewhere are going, Toyota has asked for 84 billion ringgits. We're tiny compared to Toyota and these other ones, but of course they're all being shut down. So you can see it is Petronas Gas can only pay for so much. So in some ways I can also see them going, can we get a few people back to work, please, so the bill goes down? Fingers crossed, anyway.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So I'm going to ask one about. I did already ask about. I'll do this one and then go back to the one about production stuff. But with the proliferation of 3D printers and this pause, and just thinking in terms of production availability at all, has there been any thought or consideration to look at producing STL files? I've seen a lot of folks have done things in like a Patreon where they subscribe to them. They spend $20 a month to get whether their file comes out that month. I know that you're a Battlefront, you're a miniatures company, and you want to sell models. But when models aren't available, is there any consideration of at least experimenting with STL files as part of that gap? And given that good news, and I'm very glad to hear it, may not be necessary at this point if that's a positive signs that continue to move along. But that was something that I was wondering about. It seemed like a way to generate some income without actually relying on those $20,000 shipping containers.
Yeah, true. Obviously, everybody knows about 3D printing now. Well, I would assume they do. That they might not. But where we are, it is not in our skill set, and we're not that sort of a business. So honestly, no. But more for me, and I know I can speak for the business here, is we would not see how that would help shops. Us giving out files that people can print literally cuts the hobby shop out completely. and we're not in it for that. We really want to support hobby stores as much as we can. Is, you know, I can wax lyrical on why I think it's wrong, but that would be my opinion. Is I think for us is, again, the criticalness of keeping the brick and mortar stores alive and well for the centers of hobbies in their community. So no, I do not think that we would even go down that route, even if it was a year closure. It isn't what we would do.
Yeah, it's certainly a very respectable position to have. You know, that's one thing I think that has resonated through the last, you know, decade is the tie-in to the hobby stores, and that being a place to continue to grow the hobby, and you know, trying to keep that as a precious asset. You know, and
yes,
and so that is an aspect I hadn't thought about as much when I put that question together, but I certainly do appreciate that. So Ed, you got the next one?
Actually, I'm looking at the last question that we were going to do. Do you want to do something else before I hit that final question?
Go ahead. No, go ahead and get it.
Okay, yeah. The question I wanted to know is what you can do to help us tell our fan base for both Team Yankee and Flames of War what we can do to help Battlefront maintain the idea and the games and keep Battlefront in our forethoughts and support it at the stores and things. But what can we do to help out, and what can our stores do to help still promote the game systems, okay, at our locations with no new products coming in, and even if it does go for a while, what are things that we can do to keep the Battlefront game systems alive?
Okay, I think I should caveat this answer with, if I come across as preachy, I do apologize. I'm not meaning to be preachy, but as you both know me well, I am not shy in coming forward. If you really wanted to put it in absolute basic terms, it's go out and buy something. Not from a competitor, not from the cheap thing, not a 3D printed. Buy something that has Battlefront on the box, preferably from a hobby shop. Where I would look at it is, if I was on the other side of this and I wanted to play my part, I would look at my collection and go, you know, I've been playing with those T-34s now for 22 years. There's a few bent barrels. In fact, there's a couple of tanks, and this is a true story, that don't have barrels.
Huh.
It's time to go and buy 10 new tanks. It's $90. No, actually $100 now, isn't it? $100, and go, that's not going to kill me. I have played with my T-34s for nearly 20 years, and go, I love them. They're chipped. They're not perfect at all. And it's that one of, really, John? You haven't got your money's worth out of that. You know, you will hear a lot of people going, oh, wargaming, it's an expensive hobby. Is it? Hell. Rubbish. My son has just taken up golf. He could have bought 3 armies, and he's only been playing for 6 months. I hadn't been out playing golf in years, and when he said, oh, yeah, the course charges $52, it's like, you what? $52 to hit and chase a ball around that isn't even going where I want it to go? Are you mad? But we've all been there. And again, I have talked with many personally and at conventions about this. In many ways, I have always summed it up with, dance with the one who brung you. That's what you need to do now. If you really want to help, it's just go out and buy a few bits, but support the store. The store is what needs it. They do there is, we will get by. You know, our sales aren't in the hole. As I said to you right at the beginning, this is a hiccup. This is not Battlefront on its knees. No way, Jose, is it even close to that. But some of those stores out there have been weathering the storm a lot more. Battlefront does not keep a store open. Games Workshop doesn't keep a store open. Privateer doesn't. Malifaux. But together keeps the stores open. So whatever your hobby is in those wargaming ways, go out and buy the game you play, buy their miniatures, nothing else. And again, here endeth my preachiness, and if I was too over the top, I apologize, but not really, I mean it.
Well,
right, very good.
Yeah. I have some good, maybe 20 to 30 T-34s that are all metal and resin, and they're old also, but those things are damn heavy. As I get older, I'm just thinking, I need to exchange these and get some lighter plastic ones. So that's probably where I'm going to be focusing, is trying to swap out the metal and resin from my collections.
Yeah. I went up to play the old USA manager, Jeff Smith, and I took my IS-1 Army. I had forgotten how heavy that thing was. Yeah. Because it is. The tracks are this friggin' long. Oh, again, sorry. They're long and heavy, and you get used to the new plastics and going, yeah, this is easy. I'll just throw it over my shoulder and go, yeah, I'm walking lopsided, going, what the hell? Nice. These should have +1 armor. They're that heavy. Anything metal and resin should be +1.
Indeed. Well, this has been a great interview, John. We appreciate your time with us, and I certainly, I hope the listeners feel like I do, that they're more at ease. Hey, this is something we can roll with, and there's some things we can do to maybe help out with a hiccup, but it's a hiccup in the end, and let's hope that the note you got on email is a indication of where things are going in the right direction. So let's keep playing for that. But is there anything else you'd like to say to the hobby audience at all?
Actually, I'm gonna actually talk to I'm gonna say fellow Americans, because I am an American citizen. There's an old saying, isn't there? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And this is one of those times. We're all in it together. We need to get out of it. We're all doing our part. And we should just actually look outwards and really help people who need some help. And this is where I would say is stores. Not all of them. I mean, I think I know of one store that stopped dealing with us during COVID. And, the gentleman was already very close to retirement, and he just said, I can't do this anymore. The rest of them are there, but you don't see them driving around in Lamborghinis, Maseratis, and this sort of stuff. So the margins are thin, even though, the price of a tank, let's say it's $13. They don't make all that 13. We don't make all that 13. Most of it is made by them. But then they've got electricity, staff, shop rent, blah, blah, blah. By the end of it, they're running on some very lean margins out there. And the only way they can make it is if they sell a few more. It's no good to them on the shelves where it's been there, and we have all got one unit that we've been putting off or something like that. Well, now's the time. Just go out and make that unit. And again, I did promise not to preach, and I've just done it again.
That's quite all right.
That was enough to sell me. I'm going out and buying stuff. I'm in the mood now. I'm going shopping.
Going shopping. And again, gets the old endorphins going. As my wife says, yeah, made me feel good. And it's like, yeah, didn't make my bank feel good though.
Very good. Well, John, we greatly appreciate you spending time with us. This has been very informative. I learned a lot. Not just about the situation, but at least just the sheer scope of the business side of this. Getting stuff from a nice lady who paints buildings in Malaysia to my doorstep. That's you really opened up my eyes on that, and I'm glad that we had you on board, and I hope we get to see you again in the future, not too far down the range, and you come out to a Wolf Crag, and like to see you come back out again, or see you at a convention, and maybe next time I'm back east. Please.
Could I just do two merciless, I buggered that word up, but you know what I mean, plugs. One is, if anybody can come out and see us at Gen Con, Joe and his group up there are absolutely running the events as they always do. And the other one is, we will be at Historicon, and we're going to be running the nationals there for both Team Yankee and Late War Flames of War. So we'd love to see you there as well. The details should be up sooner rather than later. So again, we're just getting out there safely, cautiously, but it is about having fun. And again, we haven't seen a lot of people face to face in a long time, so we look forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, we do too. That's Gen Con not possible probably for me, but a Historicon is an option.
Excellent. That would be great, and it'd be good to see you again in up close, Tom.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we wish you and Battlefront the best of luck, and we'll do our part as well to help ensure that happens.
Thank you very, very much. And again, thank you for having me on, guys.
Speedball is lame. Hard Knocks Games is awesome. You can get board games, trading card games, role-playing games, hobby supplies and tools, Gundam, Warhammer, and more. Find us on Facebook at hardknocksgames.com or visit us on the Dixie Highway.
Well, welcome back from the break, everybody. Hope you had a quick respite there. And so, Ed, what did you think of John Mathews and what he had to say?
I thought it was pretty good, Tom. It kind of gave me a little relief because I was really concerned about the company, what was going to happen because of that situation in Malaysia. And so I feel a little more comfortable now after talking with him.
Yeah, we'll hope things continue to improve. And it doesn't sound like at the moment that they're looking at as anything more than a speed bump. But I was a little disappointed. Of course, I'm not a businessman. I don't own a game company. But I was just a little disappointed that they're not actually looking a little harder at 3D files, and I only say that because it's the wave of the future. It's there. I appreciate that you want to keep the game store in the loop, and I think there's good ways to do that. I think they're doing that with the books and the cards and other stuff, but particularly for unique items. I mean, things that they would never produce otherwise. Maybe like the 21st Panzer, they could have just sold those as 3D files instead of having to be SKU codes and having to ship them and stuff. Or I'm thinking, keep your core. Like the plastics kits are brilliant. Keep your core as the plastic kits, but then all those things that you can't get into plastic, I think that's where 3D printing might fill a void. And I'd like to see, but we'll see how that rolls out. I remember at one point, about a decade ago, we were having the same conversation about whether Battlefront should pursue plastics because Plastic Soldier Company was starting to make a dent in the market. And at that time, I was like, well, no, there's just plastics rubbish. But now look who's the #1 plastic model producer for 15mm 1/100 scale stuff in the world.
Yeah.
So they showed they could change when it came to transitioning to plastics, and I just think it's going to be part of the future. I just think you can't ignore it. You've got to have a plan to, and you can't shut it out. It's going to be there, so you got to figure out how you can benefit from it. And I don't know they've done that yet. So in any case, let's roll into rules. Ed forgot or Tom butchered. Now I've got 4 of them I'd like to talk about, Ed. Do you have any that you want to discuss?
Yeah, the one that I see that you want to mention, the 4th one, that was the one I was wanting to talk about because it definitely came to play in our last game that you and I played, the clearing the minefield deal. And so that was.
Yes, I did clear a minefield, but that was not hard to figure out because I actually had to move in the minefield to clear the minefield. So the question there is really, so we'll start with the last one first.
Okay.
The last shall be first here. So the question all came about just before Masters, where there were some discussions about the air deployable minefields. Where what happens if you drop the field artillery scoutable minefields on top of units? Are they already in the unit and can they already clear it? Yes or no? And then also, even in World War II, the game that I played a couple weeks ago with William White, he deployed in the minefield. Right, so my minefield, he had actually spearheaded up, put guys basically in the minefield so they could. So the question is, can they clear that minefield on the first turn as the attacker? Can they just say, "Yep, lift minefield"? Can they do that? And what do you think the answer is?
Well, I would say no, because I think the rule specifically says you got to spend an entire turn in there, and since there's no turn 0, I think
Yes.
you pretty much have to do that.
Yes, you nailed it.
Okay.
But it's not just that you spend the time in the minefield. You have to move in the minefield, whether you're in it already or not. So you have to take your chance of getting blown up. So if you deploy, if the spearhead lets you to move up as you're attacking and you got the first move and the spearhead lets you move your guys up into a minefield, great. You start off deployed in the minefield, but you cannot attempt to clear it until you have moved in it. So, and it says specifically moved in the previous turn, and as you so eloquently stated a minute ago, on turn 1 there was no movement on turn 0, so that doesn't. It's not the previous turn, so that there's nothing to be done there. And the same logic would apply to the field artillery mines in Team Yankee that are dropped on top of you, the scatterable mines. So, and when you look at the text, it's this basically rules as written. It says explicitly you may lift the minefield or clear a minefield when you have spent the previous turn moving in the minefield. So there you go. So okay, that's on there. So you're on track on that one. Next one is breaking off mounted and dismounted. You had a question, Ed?
Yeah, I do. I wasn't sure on the answer on that final piece there. So firing the minelets or the American fast cam into that. So you said starting out, they're in it. Well, what if yeah? And so they start out in it. They still have to roll.
Well, Ed, the simplest thing to ask is, have you met the conditions for clearing a minefield? To meet the conditions of clearing a minefield, you must have moved in it in the previous turn. So if it was dropped on top of you, you have not moved in it yet. So even though you don't physically move the models, you have to roll a skill check to see if they trip a mine or whatnot. And then the following turn, then you can lift it. so
Okay,
now there's still a gray area here. What happens? Well, I guess it's not a gray area. So, or maybe it is. If you were in a transport that was shot and then you were forced to dismount in a minefield, do you count as having moved in that minefield? And so in your next turn, then can you lift it? Well, I would say if you're going to take a skill check to see if you blow up from dismounting, then yes, you're counted as moving in the minefield. So on your next turn, you can clear the minefield. So
now my question on that would be they jumped out. Yes, they get to jump out. Well, they just jumped into a minefield. Now do they have to roll again for jumping into that minefield?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
If you look at dismounting is a move, right?
Yeah.
But of course, when it says if a vehicle is destroyed, passengers are placed in contact with the vehicle, so they're not moved. So that's really maybe still gray. Maybe Battlefront needs to clarify that. If you're in a transport that is destroyed, your infantry teams are put on the safe side of the transport, away from the enemy, so they're in bulletproof cover because they're adjacent to a burning hulk. But there says they're placed. It doesn't say if you move from a transport like you're dismounting, you can move your normal 8-inch move, right? But this must go adjacent, so it's much more constrained. So I think that's a lessons from the front thing that's got to be clarified, and we'll see what comes out of that. But at least in the game start and mines dropping on you from artillery, that's clearly resolved now. There's no question about that. So good enough?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right.
Yeah.
So breaking off, this also came up in my game with William White. He had a situation where he was assaulting me with a Panzer Grenadier platoon, and he had a couple of bubbas on the ground and a couple still mounted. My guys ultimately won the assault and drove him back. So the question is the infantry unit pinned? They had guys on the ground and guys in the vehicles. Yeah,
I see. Yes.
Yes, nobody could see it, but Ed was nodding his head yes. So, yes. Yeah, but that is the case. But also remember that it says explicitly on page 64 that armored tank teams passenger teams mounted in armored transport and aircraft teams cannot be pinned. So the guys that are mounted in the half tracks, if the half tracks choose to go forward because they cannot be pinned, the guys inside are not pinned either. But if they, so long as they stay in the half track, if they get out of the half track, then they're pinned because the some part of the platoon is pinned. But so it's kind of a little bit confusing there. But the reality is that it only affects the Germans because they have the mounted assault. So what it means is that the Bubas on the ground can stay pinned to the rear, but as the half tracks go forward, the guys in the half tracks can still assault because they're not pinned because they're an armored half track. And that's a change from version 3. In version 3, it actually armored units did receive pins, but they ignored them. Now it says explicitly armored tank teams, passenger teams mounted in armored transport and aircraft cannot be pinned. It explicitly says that. So that takes care of number 3. Moving up, I can't believe I never knew this, but when you remount their troops into a transport, like if the transport is stationary, the troops move to the transport, and then the transport can move from there. Great, but that move is at the dash speed, and even though you can assault when moving at the dash speed, it says explicitly you may not move or you may not assault or shoot afterwards. So I did not know that. Did you know
that? No, but it makes sense. I hadn't been in that situation. I'm not going to say yes, but I would have taken a guess at it. But no, I didn't know that specifically. But I knew that if they mounted, they could not use their tactical to engage. Yeah.
All they could do is dash.
Yeah, I didn't know it was because of the dash speed. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's because normally we use our transports to get close to the enemy, and then we get the infantry down to do their business, right? That's what we don't normally remount after. But I suppose if one of these missions where you have a different objective and you have to shift and relocate, then you might get a chance to do that. And basically, this happened in our game when William tried to remount some of his infantry, the ones that were clearing the minefields illegally, as we later found out. But when those guys were trying to regroup and join the rest of their unit. So that was interesting to see. And the last one I had is warrior saves or commander saves. So when you kill a commander, he can switch out with a team of the same type from his formation. And that's important because it's from the formation, so it would not anything that's not part of the formation itself. So like support or allies should be obvious, but basically it should just be the units of the formation. So if it's a T-34 and you got some attached Su-85s or attached ZSU-7 M17 anti-aircraft half tracks, he shouldn't be jumping to those because they're not from his formation. Well, actually, the half tracks could have been from his formation. What do you got there, Ed?
Yeah, that was it. ZSUs can be part of the formation as well. Yeah. And so you can. So not the ZSUs in support. That's right. Key. Anything in support, you can't do it.
Yep. It said I can go to it here. It said explicitly can swap out with the similar teams from their formations. So anyways. Good enough there. Well, that was, and what that tells me is the more I play this game, the less I know. I'm just like, man, I just can't believe I didn't know about you only moved at the dash if you mounted your transports, or the transports can only go at the dash and cannot shoot or assault that the passengers got on board. Had no clue. So, and that's how we find out. We keep playing. We come across guys who are doing different things in different ways, and we go back and check and find out, wow, that actually is the right way to do it. So good stuff on rules. Any other things you can think of from your events there, Ed?
No, nothing that was unusual. Yeah. All
right. Well, let's rock on through the upcoming events. We got a bunch of these, and we have. We'll start with you. Go ahead and tell us about what you're running next weekend on the 14th.
Yeah, on the 14th, I just put together a quick. The couple days. But yeah, I just put together a quick something, trying to get the last local event. Everybody seemed to be out of town, And so that was the one on 10th of July. So I said, well, let's try it one more time, see what we can put together. And so it looks like I got quite a big showing right now. I've got 14 of our locals alone. I don't know who else signed up for on the Facebook yet, but I'll check with the store. But it looks like we're going to have a good showing on that. And that's going to be a 105 point late war, just a quick show, throw down. Nothing special on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And there's two other events that are occurring this weekend. One's in Richmond, Texas, on the 14th. Most folks, by the time they listen to this podcast, this probably will be past. And then there's also, although it could be out as early as Thursday or Friday, depending on when Mitch puts it in the queue. And then up in West Lafayette, Indiana, they're doing it. It has not been an event up there for a long time, for like a couple of years, but they're doing an event on the 14th. They're doing a mid-war event. And then back up to Felton, Delaware, where Pete Zerfy is hosting the Plane to Plane event. He puts together some interesting themes. And in this one, 3-round late war, 105 points. And in this one, everybody has free air. It's like a generic bomb plane, unit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's like everybody has P-40 Warhawks, something like that. And which I don't know if this means that if you also have air in your list, if you get 2 units of air. Think about that.
Oh, that would be pretty bad.
Yeah, you'd have to bring your Stukas and your ME-109s to be the generic bomb planes or something. So I don't know how he's running that, but maybe he said you can't take air, but everybody gets air for free. Or maybe you just get free air, in which case some people could have 2 units of air flying around. It could be kind of interesting. And then one more thing before we move on, and Ed, you cover the next 2. Pete is doing a great job up there in Delaware running events. And whenever I see people talking about, well, Flames of War is dead in my area, nobody plays anymore, if you're complaining, get out and run some stuff. Run some demo games, put together small events, get the word out there. Don't expect to start out large. And he's doing it. He's building up a nice little community up there in the Delaware area. And he gets a lot of folks traveling from I-95 corridor as well. But it just takes effort. You just got to do it. And you and I do it at Hard Knocks games. Every other month or so we rotate. And it just, fortunately, there's 2 of us that are willing to do stuff. Same up in Indianapolis. There's a couple people up there. And same up in Minneapolis. There's a couple people up there. So the areas where you have a couple people willing to host events, they have a good number of events. They keep their community strong. Those areas where nobody wants to step up, things kind of fizzle out. So if you're upset about the way things fizzle, really got to take a look at yourself, I think, and think, what am I doing to promote and get people playing and getting events going? So anyways, why don't you cover NashCon there, Ed, since you're going?
Yeah, NashCon, we've got 2 events going on there for Flames of War, and there's, I think, a bolt action going on there as well. There's a couple things going on. It looks like they got a good bit of events going on. But I was able to squeeze into the Friday and Saturday events that are coming up here on the 20th and 21st. The first one's going to be a late war, just 105 point, just regular throwdown, just like we're doing this weekend here. And so I think I'm going to take my 21st, by God. They are going to do it. I've got the feeling, man. I've got the feeling. Anyway,
it's a Friday, man. It'll be great.
Yeah, we're going to do it. And,
are you going to spend the night down there?
What's that?
You're gonna stay in the hotel where the convention's at?
I don't know if they have any room for that yet. I haven't even looked into that.
Well, yeah, because
I just got in
somewhere.
I just got into the Saturday, so I haven't even. I wasn't planning on it, but now I am.
I wasn't planning to go. My wife's birthday is the 19th, and she's been out of town for a couple of weeks, and plus all my money's going into my car, my restoration project. So I wasn't planning to make it. I might see if I can squeeze down on the 21st for just come down for the day. But
you can come down. If you want to, you can come in Friday night. I mean, if I am staying there overnight, which I'm going to have to now, I'll have room for you. But anyway,
if I can get away for Friday night, I'll be there Friday to game too. I'm just
okay.
not sure what I can get a hall pass for here. So we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we skipped this one. August 8th. This should have been a little higher up. This is in Alameda, California, and they're playing a 105 late war 3-round event on the USS Hornet. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah. Playing it on the ship itself. So
isn't it supposed to be Alameda? I think it's supposed to be Alameda.
Yeah.
Alameda.
I misspelled it.
I think so.
Yeah, isn't that like San Diego or Los Angeles or something?
Yeah.
That area.
Mm-hmm. Also
out west in September, this is a really cool event. Have you heard about this one yet? The longest day. It's part of Straticon.
Yes, I have heard about it. This is like the big one.
Well, I don't know how big it is. They only have 4 players for all I know, but
big, but there's like a lot of rounds on this one.
Yeah, it was 24 hours, so it's a round every 3 hours. So it's like a marathon, Ironman event. Just just game continuously for 24 hours. You get up to 3 games in, or 8 games in. A round. Yeah, that's. I think you'd be funny to see in the 7th and 8th round. You'd be all like, your hair would be all sticking up.
Yeah,
you'd be hallucinating. You'd be seeing snakes in a mailbox.
I'm hallucinating again.
Yeah, we should talk to Hard Knocks Games and do one about this way. See if we get an all-nighter.
I just can't do that kind of thing anymore, man. I just
well, you see, you don't have to. You can just not play whatever round, quit at midnight and just forego the couple of extra rounds. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So basically, whoever can go through all 8 rounds is, possibly I guess you have to have at least 2 people to go to the final round. But anyways, pretty cool event. Igor Torgensen is running that. So well done, Igor. Looking forward to seeing how that works out. Also September 4th.
Tom, let me back you up one. We didn't go over the second day event for NashCon.
Oh, go ahead.
So that's going to be a mid-war descending. No, not descending. De-escalation. De-escalation round. So it's going to be a 95, 85, and it's supposed to be 79 points.
Oh, is it 79? I wrote 70.
Because I'm planning on, it says 70? I thought he told me 79. Uh-oh.
Could
I need
be.
to go back and refigure.
I could have typed it wrong.
Okay,
Very
well, I'll have to
possible.
refigure 70.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Well, if I go to that, I'll have to be throwing together an armored car list. The Furman.
Yeah, that would be good.
And then back to the West Coast, Enfilade, or Enfilade, depending on how you pronounce it, up in Olympia, Washington. They're doing a late war 85-point 3-rounder, and that's been on the books for a while. So that's up in the Pacific Northwest. And then Gen Con has 3 events. I'll cover those pretty quick. That's Able Company, Chris Fretzen, and team putting these together. They're doing on the 16th mid-war 100 points, on the 17th Team Yankee 100 points, and on the 18th late war 100 points. And those are all 3-round events. So if you can get to Indianapolis and pay the a couple $100 that ends up being to get lodging and get into the convention, that's 3 tournaments you could do in 3 days. So pretty cool setup. So once you get up, I'll do the next one since I'm running it. So also on September 18th, for those who are not so fortunate to go, and by the way, these last 2 events, the one that Ed's doing on the 14th of August and the one I'm doing 18th September, our game store asked us to run. So those are, we're willing to do stuff anyways, but they specifically wanted to try to get us. They have an events coordinator now who's trying to fill a calendar with making sure there's events going on all the time, and so we got tagged for those. And since it's September, and God, is that around the date? What are the dates of Market Garden? I know it's September
27th or something like that, but I'm not sure.
I thought since it's in mid-September that I would go with a Market Garden theme. Even though we don't have specific books from Market Garden, and depending on your philosophy, we may not. But I'm going to put together a very heavily themed event. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, exactly what point levels, but I'm considering having certain boards with certain missions. We have the Charles McKellar's excellent river crossing board. It's actually from Saving Private Ryan, that city river board, but that would fit in very well with a Market Garden themed event. So I may have some specific missions that are set for certain tables. In version 3, do you remember we used to have the what was it called, ambush or something? It was a mission where there was a convoy that was coming down a road down the center of the board, and that it was being attacked from both sides. It was supposed to kind of represent the closing of the roads during when the Germans are counterattacking to cut off the British lines in the Market Garden. I might bring a variant of that mission back for this event. And again, that'd be a table set up specifically to play that. I forgot what the name of that mission was, but it was kind of like, I want to say it's like Line of March or Convoy or something. And the defender was in the middle of the board on a road, kind of strung out. And then the attacker was coming in from either side with reserves, and the defender had reserves coming back on the road from the end. So it was kind of a neat little mission. So I might look at trying to resurrect that or make some version of that for version 4 for that event.
Okay.
So more to follow on that, folks, on how we're going to run that specific event. And if you got any ideas, you get some good ideas for a Market Garden event. Anybody out there listening, send them to me. I'm glad to consider, because right now I'm just scratching my head. I just know I want it to be very historically themed. I want to see British Airborne, U.S. Airborne, German SS, German WAF, here, and just try to, and then British. What was it? The Irish Guards. The I forgot the name of the corps that led that.
30th Corps. Yeah, 30th Corps.
Yeah, that came down Route Club. That was the main axis of attack. There was 3 axes of attack. The one in the center was Route Club. So I'll look at the options there. But basically, you wouldn't be able to have U.S. armor, right? Because all the U.S. stuff there is going to be airborne, 82nd Airborne. So if you're playing those guys, you're going to take 82nd Airborne with no tanks. Same for the British paras. Well, incorrect. The Americans did have armor support later. They just didn't have it when they dropped. So maybe we'll do an escalation thing where you start off airborne in the first round, and then the second round you start adding tanks. I don't know. I just want something that's a good campaign feel tournament, if you will. So we'll see how that works out. And I'm calling it Glorious Disaster because there's a book that just got released about Market Garden, I think, called Glorious Disaster. So we'll go with that. And then Kansas City, got some resurgence there. Why don't you cover that one, Ed?
Yeah, that's a late war, beginner-friendly cardboard corner.
I think that's the location.
Okay,
cardboard corner is the score, and then it's a late war, beginner-friendly event. They're trying to look at this as a team, building up the local community.
Okay,
there's
good.
a good bunch of folks out there in Kansas City that do play Flames of War. They've kind of waned off the last couple of years, so I'm glad to see someone's out there trying to get some effort to get it going again.
Yeah,
usually
when I used to go to Leavenworth, I used to visit their stores up there, but I haven't been to Leavenworth now in 7 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, let's hope you stay out of Leavenworth too.
Yeah, I try to stay out of that place. Yeah.
Right, and then down in Florida, they have Huracan, which has 2 events on the 24th of September and 25th of September. And on that Saturday, Team Yankee 100-point rounds. And then on the Sunday, or is that a Friday and a Saturday? Whatever it is, 24th, 25th of September, Team Yankee on the 24th and Flames of War on the 25th, both 100 points, both 3 rounds. So that should be pretty good. And then moving back up north to Ohio, Advance the Colors. That's going to be 1st and 2nd of October, but nothing has been announced. I know Tony Davis, one of the local Ohio game stores, said that they would sponsor the event and provide terrain for the event and give prizes and so on, but they would not TO it. And John Meyer said that he's not TOing it. He's TO'd enough stuff up there in Ohio. And then Tony Davis said he was going to try to get with the golf company guys and see what they might put together. So still be determined on what will happen at Advance the Colors. And then 9th of October, this is first time this is being announced. Chad Underdunk at Hard Knocks Games in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. He'll run a team, the Red October event that he runs every year, which is a Team Yankee red on blue, 100 points, 3 rounds, and that's October 9th. So this is the first. I just talked to him a day about it, so just got this from him earlier today. And finally, Sensicon. Well, not finally. I think we got a few more. You cover Sensicon there.
Okay, yeah, Sensicon. I usually go to these things, and Carl Tier's going to run that. It's going to be a couple of days. It's going to be on I think it's a Saturday, Sunday, in which case on Saturday we're going to do the Team Yankee there. Team Yankee 105.3 round. And then on Sunday, they're going to do the 105 late war. It seems to be pretty generic.
It might be Friday, Saturday. Because I think we've seen that at Gen Con.
Yes, Sensicon. Yeah.
Sensicon. I think
that's going to be on the 22nd. Yeah. Usually that's in the spring, but because of COVID and stuff, they didn't have it this year. But they're bringing it back and at least do it this year. So I'm hoping they have it in October, then turn around, and hopefully everything's cleared out next spring, and then have it again there in the spring.
Well, so the 22nd of October is a Friday, and then the 23rd is a Saturday.
Oh,
I thought he did something like that. Yeah, and then Historicon out in November 11th, and we just heard John Mathews mention it in the interview previously. There will be a Flames of War Nationals out there. I don't know if they're going to have a Team Yankee event too, quote, Team Yankee Nationals. I'm not sure they're going to have both. So we still don't know the specifics on that. So stay tuned. And then Millennium Con, like Millennium Falcon, November 14th, Round Rock, Texas. That's just outside of Austin. And they're running a late war 60, 80, 100. Escalation. Yep. And then only thing we know on the radar screen beyond that is Toys for Tots. And that'll be multiple locations in December.
Yeah.
Including certainly Indianapolis will do one, Hard Knocks Games will do one. Probably 3 or 4 other places will do them, like up in Minneapolis. So that pretty much wraps us up. That's like 20 some events we're looking at right now between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
Not too
bad.
A
lot of stuff. Let's hope COVID doesn't affect that. There's a lot planned out there.
Yeah. Let's hope that people are able to make up for last year. But seems like the Delta variant's trying to do its best to preclude that from happening. So let's hope that it's a flash in the pan and out of here soon. Well, cool. Well, anything else to cover there, Ed?
Well, we covered quite a bit. I think that's it for now.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, everybody out there in radio listening land, we appreciate you tuning in. Please give us some feedback. Please let us know. Do we suck? Probably. How can we get better? We'd like to know. What can we do to? Give me some ideas about the September Market Garden event I want to run. Let me know. I can make it campaign themed, but still keep it as a tournament. And anything else you can think about there. So please, and just let us know that you're listening and that and what you'd like us to cover in the future. We're totally open to your input. Ed and I just kind of wing this as we go along. And it said the 20th episode, so you'd think we'd have a whole plan for this thing, but we don't. So we're just, and there won't be any new releases from Battlefront for a while. So we got some ideas to cover. It was nice to bring in John Mathews on this one, but next one, they got a month from now, or even just a couple of weeks from now, we'll try to record one more in August. I don't know if we'll go out in August or September, but we'll try to get one more in. So anyways, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. And with that, Ed, you can take us out of here.
All right, everybody. Well, be safe, be creative, support your store, and then pray that the COVID goes away. Y'all be safe.
So we are recording.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Count us in.